In the environs of Súria, there are many sites where we find remains related to the history of mining, both gypsum and salt, and especially potash. These sites have great heritage value and are points of interest that provide keys to interpreting much of the history of mining in Súria. Archaeological remains, old mines, groups of houses, routes following the course of the old transport infrastructure. These are just some of the elements of mining heritage that lie all around the municipal territory. Many of these sites are open to the public, enabling visitors to discover fragments of the history of mining in Begas County and Súria itself. The 100-year-plus history of potash mining in Begas County has left considerable cultural heritage related to this industry, and new heritage sites continue to be generated for the future. The site known as Colonia Santa Maria is a workers' village built by the Solvay company for its employees. All the villages that Solvay established around the world follow the same pattern. The characteristic features of Solvay's architectural style include exposed brick constructions with ochre-colored walls, both for industrial buildings and housing. The model adopted for the Súria site is the same as those in Lieres, Torrelavega, and Salins de Giraud. Inside the village at the top of Carré de Norbert Fontier is a group of 4 Type 6 houses for employees. Taking Carré dels Tillers and Carré de las Moreras, we find a group of 13 Type 7 houses, which are simpler than the Type 6 models. These and all the other houses in this style each contain 2 apartments. Avinguda Santa Barbara now leads us to the Type 10 workers' housing in Carré de las Flors and Carré del Doctor Fleming. Construction of this housing and the industrial and mining facilities all began in 1918. In 1925, the village housed 46 families, and by 1928, there were more than 200 families here. The Type 10 models form 3 rows of houses. In 1939, there were 73-story buildings, providing 210 homes. Most of them are known as double modules, which have a central staircase connecting 3 apartments on either side. Each 65-square-meter apartment has living room, kitchen, and 2 bedrooms. There are no balconies, only windows with a parapet, over which are arches. The original shutters made of wood were among the most distinctive elements in the village. Today, however, only the Ampans building sports reproductions of those original shutters. Built in 1926, the Ampans Centre was first used as a canteen and dormitory for single and widowed workers, but was converted soon after into a civil guard barracks. The village provided a range of services, including a company store, a social centre and a school. The nearby park and the site occupied by the most recently built block of flats were originally vegetable gardens. The company promoted horticulture as a form of recreation and a way of encouraging healthy habits among employees. A salt mine was discovered here in the 12th century. Much later in the early 20th century, René Macquarie acquired the Roumanie mining concession and purchased a small piece of land where he set up the mine. Macquarie went into business with Émilie Viadet, and in 1912 they opened a mine from which salt was extracted while they looked for potash, which they found potash at the end of the year. This was the 3rd mineral potash deposit to be discovered worldwide, after those in Germany and France. The discovery revolutionized the economic and social structure of Súria. The salt mine was 60 meters deep and had a circular mouth with a diameter of 3.5 meters. A 30-meter horizontal gallery was opened at the bottom of the shaft. In 1914, the shaft was flooded, after which it was sealed up and abandoned. Also in 1914, the Belgian company of Solvay began to carry out soundings at the site and acquired the mining concessions from Macquarie and Viadet. In 1918, Solvay began to build the company's own mining facilities and opened the number 1 shaft. In 1920, the Minas de Potasa de Súria, or Súria Potash Mines Company, was established. The original head frame over the salt mine was converted into housing, which was used until the 1950s when it was demolished. In 2012, to mark the centenary of the discovery of the potash deposit, the remains of Macquarie and Viadet's mining facilities were restored. The site occupied by the Church of Sant Pere del Puig and the Puig of Sant Pere Domus form an ensemble which includes a castle, a church and around 8 dwellings dating from the 10th century. This settlement was a mining village that worked the nearby gypsum quarries. The church is a pre-Romanesque construction with a single nave. The square apse is slightly off-kilter from the building's axis. Adjoining the church are a series of constructions that were once dwellings located inside the sanctuary. On the north and east side is the necropolis, partially excavated, from which the remains of various individuals have been unearthed. Some 120 meters to the north, on top of the hill, are the remains of the great Torre Domus, the seat of one of the Castellanias of Súria. The buildings all stand around in a great central tower, supported by a spectacular system of steps. The western section, where there was once a large hall, is the most interesting. Much of the archaeological material unearthed here is formed by medieval grey pottery, as well as ironwork and coins. The first written documentation referring to this site dates back to the year 1033. The gypsum works are formed by the remains of 5 gypsum kilns dating to different periods, and the quarries from which the ore was extracted using open-cast mining techniques. The first written record of the presence of gypsum in Súria dates back to 1379, while the trade of plasterer is first mentioned in 1591. Of the kilns conserved, the oldest are thought to date back to the 17th or 18th centuries. The most recent is a large double kiln equipped with mills, storage rooms and a loading area. This was a working kiln up to the first half of the 20th century. With production separated from distribution and sale, this is the only truly industrial site here. At all the other kilns, production was according to actual demand. In the 17th century, explosives first began to be used in mining, and we know that in the 19th, gunpowder was employed here to blast rocks. Remains of what may have been several powder magazines have also been found. In the early 20th century, Súria gypsum had its own designation of origin, and in 1916 the product was sold in Manresa at a price of half a peseta for 40 kilos. This interpretation centre pays tribute to all those who worked in the mines and helped to make Súria what it is, a hospitable, friendly, freedom-loving town. Welcome to Súria.